So you're not sure whether the Disney dining plan is worth it? Well, let me show you how to beat it. Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Disney dining plan and whether or not it's right for you and your family. The DDP stands for Disney Dining Plan. So you have two dining plans to choose from. The quick service would set you back about $60 and the table service would set you back about $98. That's per night, per person, and that's the adult prices. Children's prices are cheaper, but I basically worked out everything on the adult prices for this video. If you chose the quick service plan, that would entitle you to 2 quick service meals with an alcoholic beverage or a non-alcoholic beverage and a snack per day. So 2 quick service meals, which would be 1 entree and a drink, and then a snack each day as well. The dining plan, then the table service one, allows you to have 1 table service meal, 1 quick service meal and 1 snack per day. So the table service meal could be a buffet or a character dining, or you just choose an entree and a dessert and a drink. The quick service is a meal and a drink, and the snack is a snack. So those are the options to choose from. As well as that, then you are also entitled to a refillable drinks cup like this one, but this one's Halloween themed because we've had it in the past. And the cost of that currently is $22.99, so let's call it $23. But I would say that's basically a free add-on, really, an incentive to get the dining plan. And believe me, it is well worth having it because we go out and buy the cup if we are not on the dining plan. And we would purchase 2 at the start of our holiday, because they last for the whole 2 weeks, and we like to get a drink in our hotel before we go. Then we go to the parks. We would carry it around the parks with us all day on a carabiner, which is attached to my loungewear bag. So I would just have it hanging down off my loungewear bag, and it doesn't really bother me. It's just a little bit extra weight, but it's not really an issue. And then we would go off to a resort in the middle of the day, so we could fill it up again then. And then in the evening, because like a lot of the Disney resorts are so big, you don't want to walk back to your room. You're so tired after walking all day. You don't want to walk back to your room, get your drinks bottle, go back to the refill station, which tend to be in the quick service location of your resort. It just is too much faff, so we just carry it around with us. But a tip I have learnt over the last few days is that you don't need to do that. We still probably will do it to a certain extent, but say if we're just going out for a couple of hours in the evening and we don't want to carry our drinks bottle around with us, as long as we've got our receipt to show that we've purchased the dining plan or we purchased the drinks bottle, then I think the server will give you a disposable cup to use. But I've just heard that tip recently off watching other videos, so I will try that out when I'm on holiday and see if that's a true hack, and if it is, that's a pretty good hack, isn't it? So for anybody that doesn't know, we're Welsh and we go to Florida from Britain, and we're also DVC members. Before we bought into the DVC, we would come to Florida and we would quite often get the hotel package. So go to a travel agent back in the day and get like a hotel flight ticket package. We don't purchase our holiday like that anymore. But by doing that, which I think a lot of people still do that, not necessarily going to the travel agents anymore, but you book it online, but you book like a hotel package and it would have Disney dining plan included in your price. So they bump up the price of the holiday, so you're paying full price for your hotel. They will add on the Disney dining plan for free then, or at least it comes across as it's free. So if you stay in a value resort or a moderate resort, then you get the quick service dining plan included. If you stay in a deluxe resort, you get the dining plan included, the table service dining plan. So we would often come on holiday for 2 weeks and have 14 table service meals to use, 14 quick service meals to use, and 14 snacks to use. Now we do things differently. So now that we have the DVC, we split our holiday. So basically for this holiday that we've got coming up, we're staying in Saratoga Springs for 4 days. Then we're going over to Universal. So we leave Disney World completely for a few days and we're staying in the Stella Nova. And then we're going back to Disney and staying in the Boardwalk for another 4 days. So with the dining plan, we are allowed to purchase the dining plan, but you have to purchase it for however many people are in your party and for every day of your stay. But because we've got a split holiday, then we only need to purchase either the first part, which is 4 days in Saratoga Springs, or 4 days in the Boardwalk. So we don't have to purchase 8 days because we're staying in Disney for 8 days, because they're classed as 2 separate reservations. So we can purchase the dining plan once, twice, or not at all. So for this particular holiday, Joshua had asked if we could go to Ohana, and because we know Ohana is expensive, it's $65 per head, and we also know that it's a 1 credit on the dining plan, plus we knew we wanted to go out somewhere else for our anniversary because we're celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary, so we wanted to book somewhere nice for that as well. We thought, let's splurge and get the dining plan. So lead up to this holiday, I've done a lot of research to find out where's the best places for us to eat and where is not so good for us to eat. So that's what I'd like to talk about today, because some of the things I found out is quite interesting, to be fair. At the current prices of the Disney dining plan, I worked out that for you to break even on the plan, you need to be spending $65 on a table service meal, $27 on a quick service meal, and $6 on a snack. So anything less than that is not worth you having the dining plan. You're better off paying out of pocket. So to find out if any of the snacks qualify on the Disney dining plan, you want to be looking out for this little checkerboard symbol. This is the Disney dining plan symbol. So on all the menus, if it's a snack credit, then it will feature this right next to what it is that you want to buy. And some of the best uses for a snack credit would be the waffle and berries from Sleepy Hollow. You can get a croissant from Epcot in the France pavilion in the patisserie there. They do like a savoury option. My favourite item, the traditional poutine from Epcot, that's $7.50, so that's a really good snack credit. You can get funnel cakes from Hollywood Studios. We had one on our last holiday and they are absolutely delicious, and really it's a big portion, so it's well shareable. That was $8.49. My next trip, which this has always been on my bucket list for something I would like to try, and again it's eligible for a snack credit, is the pineapple upside down cake. That's from the Aloha Isle in Magic Kingdom, so I definitely want to try that. Any Starbucks, so there's loads of Starbucks dotted around, there's one in each park, so you can go to a Starbucks and that qualifies for a snack credit. Any size drink with like add-ons like cream or an extra shot of coffee or syrup, so that's a really good use of a Disney dining credit. The Food and Wine Festival is going to be on when we go to Epcot, so you can use your snack credits for a lot of the snacks around World Showcase. And then if you've got any snacks left over towards the end of your holiday, you can go to Goofy's Candy or the Main Street Confectionery. I always get treats to come home, and a lot of those qualify for snacks as well, so you can get like bags of sweets or Rice Krispie treats, things like that. So anything over $6 is worth using a Disney dining credit for it. So if you remember my cutoff point, which was $65 for a meal, we've booked Ohana. So that is a really good use of a table service credit. Ohana is $65 a head, plus we could get a drink included in that, which the drink would probably cost us around about $20. So then you're talking that would cost us $85 if we were paying out of pocket. So that is a good use of a table service credit. What is not a good use out of a table service credit, which I've just discovered, is storybook dining at Artist Point in the Wilderness Lodge. So that basically costs $67 a head, or 2 table service credits. You can still get your alcoholic beverage and other drink, whatever, But if you just did the price of the meal compared to Ohana, it's $2 difference. So you're using another table service credit for $2, which you can get snacks for like anywhere between $5 and $10. So why would you want to use a table service credit for just $2? There are times when I would say, yes, it still may be worth it. In that instance, it's probably worth paying out of pocket. But like I said, coming from Britain, if you have the dining plan for 14 days and you do what we do, where you go off to Universal Studios for a few days, then you're going to have too many table service credits to use over a 14-day period. So then by combining your table service credits, using like Cinderella's Royal Table, which would cost you 2, a Kirsch's Royal Banquet Hall, that would cost you 2 table service meals, the signature dining, so those are maybe would be worthwhile using it if they're going to be wasted, if you're not going to end up being able to use them. But I would say that's the only time. With us being DVC members, without having the dining package, we could save 10% off our booking. The meal that would cost us $67, we could save 10% off that as well, so we'd save almost $7 off it as well as that. So sometimes it's just not worth using your dining credits for meals, and that's an example of it. And the table service credits as well for the Disney dining plan does not include your gratuities. So to make the most of the dining plan, you would want to choose the more expensive items on the menu, but bearing in mind then that you will need to pay gratuity on top of it, which is going to be around 18-20% of the cost of your meal. So obviously the more you spend, the higher tip you're going to have to pay at the end of it, which for us Brits, we're not used to that. A good use of the Disney dining plan, I did like a plan for a couple of days just to see how it worked out. This is one example anyway. So if you went to the Magic Kingdom for the day and you decided to go to the Crystal Palace for breakfast, which is an all-you-can-eat breakfast, it's character dining, then that would cost you $52 per person. You can get an alcoholic beverage with that. So for example, a mimosa would cost you $19.50. Then if you decided later on in the day to have a snack, you could go to Gaston's Tavern and order a cinnamon roll for $6.99 or a LeFou's brew for $6.99. They're both eligible for snack credits. Then for dinner, you might decide, oh, let's go to Casey's Corner. So other than the table service meals in Magic Kingdom, you're not able to get alcohol. I'm not sure when the Pirates Lounge opens, if that's an exception to the rule. But by rule of thumb, then the quick service meals in Magic Kingdom do not offer alcohol as an option. But anyway, you could go to Casey's Corner and you could get a barbecue pulled pork foot long for $15.99 with fries, and a soda, like Diet Coke, whatever, would be $5.59. So the total spend for the day would be just over $100. And like I said earlier, to make it worthwhile buying the dining plan would cost you $98, so you're saving $2, which isn't a massive saving, but you don't have to worry about finding the money for all the food on the day. So that again is another advantage of having the dining plan, is it's all paid for, so you don't need to worry. Example number 2. So say if you went to Hollywood Studios, you could start your day by going to quick service at Docking Bay 7 and get the Andorian fried chicken tip yip. Joshua would be proud of me saying that correctly. And that is $16.29. And you could also get an alcoholic beverage with that for $17.50. Then you might decide, let's get a snack. So you could get the funnel cake with ice cream, which we had one of those, and this is what it looks like, for $8.49, and that is a fantastic use of a snack credit. And then for your evening meal, you might decide to leave Hollywood Studios and let's go over to a resort. So you could go to Ohana in the Polynesian resort, which would cost you $65, like I previously said, and you could get a pina colada, which would cost you $17.50. So the total spend for that day would be $124.78, so almost $125. And you're beating your dining plan then by around about $27. So again, that is a really good use of your dining credit. Then a bad example would be, so I've put storybook dining in here because I've already explained a little bit about that one. So you could get breakfast at Sertuli Canteen in the Animal Kingdom. You could get cinnamon French toast for $12.99 plus a cold brew coffee, which is like $5.79. Then your snack, you could get a pongu lumpia in the Animal Kingdom, which that is delicious. It's a spring roll with pineapple and cream cheese inside it, but it only costs $3.79. So that is not a very good use for a snack credit. Then you could go over to the Wilderness Lodge for storybook dining at Artist Point, and it costs $67 or 2 table service credits. And you could get the Smoke and Mirror drink, which is whiskey, wildberry, lime, rosemary, smoke. That is $15.50 for your drink. So the total cost for that day is $105.07. The dining plan, however, would have cost you $97.69 for the table service plan, plus an extra $65 for your table service, roughly, because that's what we were working out on, wasn't it? $65 for a table service meal. So the total cost is $162.69. So you're losing $57.62 by purchasing the dining plan beforehand and using it in that way. So if you want to know about some of the better table service meals that's available in Disney, then check back on one of my other videos, which was the top 10 table service meals, and I'll put in prices here of like, I've only done it the ones that's got a set price, so not where you pay for an entree, but things like the character dining or the character experiences like Roundup Rodeo, things like that. I'll put in the price comparison so you can compare the prices from each table service meal. So when you come to redeeming your table service points or quick service points when you're actually in Florida, how it works is all your meals get loaded up onto your Magic Band or entry card for Disney World, and then as you pay, you'll get a receipt printed off showing how many meals you have used and how many meals you have left and how many snack credits you have left and things like that. So you can literally explain to your server you'd like to use that for the dining plan, or you'd like to pay out of pocket for that and save it for another time. So that's how you redeem your points in Disney. Some more examples of things that you can get on the dining plan. You could get the blue milk or green milk from Hollywood Studios, which would cost you $10.29. You can get the teriyaki chicken bowl from the Backlot Express. That would be a quick service meal, and that would cost you $13.29 or a quick service credit, and you could get a drink with that, obviously. Hollywood and Vine is quite a good use of a table service credit. So Hollywood and Vine would cost you $81, and you could get a glass of wine with your meal for $23. You also get, with the Hollywood and Vine, it's character dining, and you can combine it with a ticket for Fantasmic. So if you want to go and see Fantasmic, it's part of the dining package for that. So you have reserved seating for Fantasmic with that one as well. So that's a really good use of a dining credit. The family pizzas, I always used to think this was a really good use of quick service credits, particularly when the boys were little. We could get a family pizza and it would cost us 2 credits, and it would be enough to feed all of us. Now, not so much. We probably would have 1 pizza between 2 of us. But the cost of the pizza is $21.99, plus you can get 2 drinks of that as well, because you're using 2 quick service credits to get it. So a beer would cost you $12.25, or a wine $11. I think they're a bit cheaper in the resorts than at the parks for the drinks. So that would, like I said, that would cost you 2 quick service credits for a pizza and a drink each. So now I'm not so sure if it is a good use of a quick service credit, or if you're better paying out of pocket and saving your quick service credits for something else. It all depends what you want at the end of the day. The beignets, when I was checking, you can get 3 beignets from Scat Cat's Cafe, and that would be a good use of a snack credit. So 3 beignets for 1 credit, that's a really good deal. Some of the things that's not eligible for snack credit are the spring rolls from Adventureland in Magic Kingdom. Unfortunately, they're not snack credit eligible, or the croque de glace from Epcot. That would be a really good use of a snack credit, but unfortunately that's not on there either. Ronto Wrap was the other thing that's not a snack credit. So again, we would purchase the Ronto Wrap out of pocket. So if you are taking children with you and you get the dining plan that includes children on the dining plan, then where the quick service locations where you are able to buy a child's meal, that you should buy a child's meal, but then there's other locations where there's no child's meal available, like Casey's Corner. So in that instance, then you can use a child's dining credit to order an adult's meal, and I think, to be honest, quite often you can use a child's credit to buy an adult meal in a lot of places, but all you've got to do is try it. It might vary from place to place, so I don't want to say to you, yes, try that, and it won't work. It'll be down to each location whether or not they accept the child's credit for an adult meal. Definitely the table service meals, you can't do that. But for the adult meals, and again, I think for the family pizza, you can combine an adult dining credit and a child's dining credit to get the family pizza. So that would be good uses of them. If you like to drink alcohol, or if you have children, then that you can make much better use of the dining plan. You'll definitely make it pay off for you. If you don't like alcohol, you don't have children, you don't eat meat, that would be another one. If you're a vegetarian and you like plant-based meals, they tend to be on the cheaper side. So again, it might not be worth you getting the dining plan in that instance. But for us, I remember when we purchased the DVC, the person that we sold it to us was like, you will find you'll just holiday completely differently now when we do. So we will go to Walmart or Target and stock up on things like breakfast items, snacks, donuts, things like that for our hotel room, because all the DVC hotel rooms have like a small kitchenette area, so we can prepare all our food there, and they'll have plates and knives and forks and things like that. And then we'll go to the parks, but we don't spend so much money, so we're able to go a lot more frequently, stay in really nice hotels, but we don't spend the same amount of money to go on holiday as we used to, and that's evident in the fact of how many times we get to go. But as a result of that as well, you get to know the expensive meals or the good value meals, and that's what we tend to do now is stick to the value meals. But like I said, for this particular holiday, we're going to try out the dining plan and bring you guys along with us so you can see how it all works and if it works for us. So do I think the Disney dining plan is worth it? I would say yes. We have booked the Disney dining plan, so we will be looking out for the most expensive items to make it worthwhile purchasing the Disney dining plan. We're already halfway there because we know that Ohana's is very expensive. We booked Morimoto Asia for lunch because for dinner it's going to cost 2 table service credits, but for lunch it's only 1. So again, that's a really good use of a table service credit. And with the resort mugs as well. So if we hadn't purchased the Disney dining plan, we would purchase 2 resort fillable mugs, these mugs, like I said earlier, which I've got tea in here now, so even after the holiday it still comes in very handy. Take you down the beach, or when I'm going out for a walk like I have today, so you're able to pop some tea in it and bring it around with you. You can't put it in a bag because it would leak everywhere, but it's perfect for keeping your drink warm while you're going out and about. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But now with this particular trip, we will have 4 of those given to us, which is why we purchased the Disney dining plan at the start of our holiday, because they're then valid for 2 weeks. So even though the last part of our holiday, we're not going to have any sort of dining plan attached to our reservation, we will still have the drinks bottles that we can use. So that's really good. So once it's activated, it's good for 14 days. So going back to, do I think the dining plan is worth it? Yes, it is. If you know you're going to book a couple of expensive table service meals, then it is well worth adding the dining plan onto your reservation. For the last part of the holiday, however, we haven't booked any dining plan because we're going to eat our table service meals at the start of our holiday, and then the last part of our holiday we want to do things like the Epcot Food and Wine Festival. It will start from our check-in the day we check into Saratoga Springs, and it will run out the day we check out of Saratoga Springs. So even though it's for 4 days, it's attached for 4 nights, it'll be good for the 5 days. So we've spread our meals over the 5 days. So any snack credits and everything have to be used then. So we couldn't save our snack credits for the last part of our holiday. But then for the last part of our holiday, we will be going to Hollywood Studios and getting a kids' meal from Woody's Lunchbox, which would be half a toastie, potato barrels, tomato soup, and a drink. And I think it's $7, is it, or $7.50, around that price. I'll put the correct price in here, but we will do things like that. We'll do all the table service meals, quick service credits, and get the more expensive items at the start of our holiday. Then towards the end of our holiday, we'll be more savvy and we will get the cheaper items that we know we like. The pizza. So we could get a family pizza that would cost us $22 and it would feed 2 of us. So that's like $11 per person. Or you can eat off-site, like places like the Cheesecake Factory or Longhorn Steakhouse. We've done both of those and they are very, very reasonably priced. So you can get a cheaper meal off-site as well. So to wrap this video up, I would say, yes, the dining plan can be really, really useful and handy, but you need to choose the more expensive items on it to make it work. And if you don't want to splurge on the dining plan, then you can certainly eat in Disney World and have some fantastic meals for very reasonably priced. So it's up to you at the end of the day if you would prefer to have it and have everything all paid for in advance. The research I've been doing for this video, when I've watched a few people how to beat the dining plan, they've all managed to beat it. So you can beat it, but you have to be very savvy with your spending. And if you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and like and subscribe. Good night. North Star.
You know, to me